hereby given that the Jamestown City Council will hold a public hearing to consider applications to New York State Empire State Development, ESD, under the Restore New York Communities Initiative. ESD has invited participation in the initiative to obtain funding for, among other things, the development of vacant, abandoned, surplus, or condemned commercial and/or residential buildings to help revitalize urban and rural areas and disadvantaged communities and to stabilize neighborhoods. The hearing procedure will be as follows. 1, program overview. 2, the proposed projects, which is summarized as follows. An application for up to $2 million in funding to redevelop the properties at the site of the Prendergast Landing, 106 to 108 Fairmount Avenue, 9,180 square feet, and Furniture Mart Building, 111 West 2nd Street, 172,125 square feet commercial mixed use. And 3, invite and receive citizen comments and recommendations. The public hearing will provide the opportunity for residents to hear details on the city's Restore New York application and the property assessment list outlined below. 1, Furniture Manufacturers Building, 111 West 2nd Street, Jamestown, 14701. Assessed value $800,000. 2, Prendergast Landing, 106 to 108 Fairmount Avenue, Jamestown. Assessed value $75,000. The hearing will be held at 7 o'clock p.m. on Monday, April 29th, 2024, in the City Council Chambers, 2nd floor, Municipal Building, 200 East 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence received regarding this hearing?
I did not.
Anybody with any sense?
Now yield time to Crystal.
Sure, thank you. As I think we've been here a number of times, the Restore New York grant applications through Empire State Development Corporation, that round 8 is open. Applications are due, I believe, May 15th. I could be wrong on that, I'm sorry. We have submitted letters of intent for both of these projects, and now we are ready to submit our full application. So we will work with the project sponsors for both of those projects and submit applications by the due date. Paula has been working diligently with them, our grant writer. The amount that we are able to apply for each project is up to $2 million. That is the maximum, and any matching requirements, the project sponsors would be making those matching requirements. So.
Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address this specific public hearing?
Jim, 225 Bowen Street. These applications are important for Jamestown, but I would like a little more clarification in terms of whether or not one of these is a special project application. So, in the list of the eligibility, you're only allowed to have one application, according to the criteria that I'm reading. You're only allowed to have one application unless one is a special app. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, please still state, but the criteria here I'm reading tonight so states that. And I want to be, accurate, because we have public hearings and nobody comes. Why is that? I'm not quite sure. It's always been the case in Jamestown. And that's too bad because it's their community. So one of the reasons why I show up sometimes like this is because I'm the only guy that shows up, just to ask specific questions. And also the evaluation of these restored potential projects, such things as a furniture mart, is going to be carefully followed under SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office, because it's an icon of this community, the furniture mart building. It goes back long before most of us were here. And physical changes to that building externally have to be carefully measured out because of what it is. Not that I'm against changing architecture, but the carefulness of it, and the purpose behind it, and the acknowledgement that it was the Furniture Mart building. And we are known as a furniture community in the past. So that's got to be carefully followed. And the limitations of the Restore grant in terms of the maximum eligibility is, they say $2 million, available, but then you've got a $40 million listed project. So I don't know how that's gonna work in terms of that particular furniture market. So the return on the investment to the community is hopefully going to be a good one. I'm only here to ask specific questions as a citizen with a lot of background in economic development. So I want to be sure that when we do something, and I believe the Furniture Mark, is this the second time they've submitted an application? Did they go after this once before, Crystal?
Yes, with a different project sponsor.
Who is the project sponsor now?
That is yet to be determined, and should that project sponsor not decide to go through with the application, we won't submit it, but we will announce that when their submission is ready and they've done their due diligence.
So you're going to have that announced before May 22nd, the deadline of the date of submission.
Yes, that's correct.
And if they don't do this, then you're down to one application.
That's correct. And to answer your other question, we did clarify with the state that neither of these projects are special projects, and yes, they both are eligible to be submitted.
Well, that's good to know, because in their criteria, in section 7, it indicates specifically that one application per
I
municipality.
understand that, and we did have a conversation with the state.
And you also have to apply a $50 wire transfer for the application, $500 wire transfer per each application.
Correct.
I ask these questions because no one else answers the question. Maybe city council did this in their due diligence, but I think it's important that this type of information be presented, not to be good or bad or evil, just so you understand the dynamics of this.
To address Mr. Champ's comments about SHPO, preservation reviews, both projects are historic buildings, and under all New York State guidelines, all historic properties require a SHPO review. It's something that we do with almost every project of this kind, so it's something we're familiar with, and it's something that both project sponsors are well aware of.
So was the train station, and they modified that, so.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the public hearing? I'll ask a third time, final time, is there anyone else who would like to address the public hearing? If not, are there any questions or comments from council members? If not, meeting is adjourned.